Hi, and thanks for joining us for today's conversation. This is the first time we've done a video like this as part of the Thomson Reuters Market Insights podcast channel, or now our video channel. So I'm really excited to bring this new offering to you. I was part of a conversation the other day with some really interesting folks. We were talking about the concept of legal innovation. And obviously there's a ton of ground that we can cover under that broad rubric of innovation. But I thought some of the things that they had to share were really valuable. So I wanted to bring that to you in this new format, sort of innovating in how we talk about innovation. Joining me for today's discussion is Maureen Naughton. Maureen serves as Chief Innovation Officer at Goodwin. In addition to overseeing global office operations, real estate and facilities, and knowledge management and research, she helps facilitate an innovative culture and focuses on continuous improvement in people, processes, technology, and data across the firm. Hi, Maureen.
Hi, Bill.
Joining Maureen is Stemlar. Anne serves as Goodwin's Managing Director of Knowledge Management and Research. She's responsible for the strategic direction of the firm's knowledge management and research functions, focusing on innovation and emerging legal technologies, including data analytics and artificial intelligence. Thanks for being here, Anne.
Hi, Bill. Thanks.
And finally, last but not least, is Tony Martinez. Tony is a director in Goodwin's Program Management Office. In this role, he is responsible for helping the PMO facilitate the management of project proposal process and annual project portfolio, and he focuses on developing and implementing strategic plans that are aligned with the firm's goals. Hi, Tony.
Hey, Bill.
Now, as I sort of teed up in that really brief introduction, there's a lot that goes into the concept of legal innovation. And particularly as we talk about innovation at an operation the size of Goodwin, there's a lot of different apparatus that has to move together. And a lot of it falls under sort of the broad rubric of legal operations. Now, legal operations at Goodwin also has a particularly wide definition. So how do each of you view your roles within legal operations, or what Goodwin, I know you refer to as your GO team or your global operations team? How do you view your roles within that GO team of how what you do impacts the clients? And Maureen, let's start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Bill. So I have a background in legal operations from the client side. So I've worked at two large finance firms, both in asset management and an investment bank. And so client operations, client service is really top of mind. My role at Goodwin has evolved. I worked with the PMO in practice management and now at innovation. And I think that that's really important because understanding all the touch points with our clients as well as our lawyers is vital at Goodwin, because we focus on both the business of law and the practice of law and how those are married together. And so we want to make sure that while our lawyers are practicing law, that on the operation or business side, that we are doing best in class service, giving them the best tools, process, and people in order for them to provide the best service and best solutions to our clients.
And Anne, I want to turn to you next. Your role, obviously, as we went through Maureen's short bio there, knowledge management and research services kind of falls under that umbrella of Maureen's role as Chief Innovation Officer. And I think that's something that maybe surprises some people. We wouldn't necessarily think of legal research as a truly innovative area. It's something that a lot of us were trained on in law school. And legal research is sort of legal research, right? But what are sort of the innovative aspects of your job, and how do you feel that impacts your clients?
So, of course, I'm responsible for the legal research and the knowledge management side. On the legal research side, you can really think about all the new data analytics tools that are popping up and all those different types of technologies that are really helping us drive our litigation, helping us with predictive analytics, and really helping us better serve our clients. So legal research is really kind of on the cutting edge of the innovation from a technology perspective. On the KM side, it's also very connected to innovation. The focus in the knowledge management group is specifically on lawyer collaboration, improved lawyer efficiency. So we spend a lot of our time developing, legal content that helps drive our client matters. We design internal systems that are specialty systems for knowledge and for data. And we are always really kind of trying to be on the cutting edge, trying to identify emerging legal technologies and different systems that we can insert into our legal process and really help our attorneys work smarter. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and I think an important point, and Anne touched on it, Bill, is data. And obviously data from end to end, regardless of whether that's HR data, events data, knowledge management or research service data. Data is vital for us to supply to our management, to our lawyers, and to our clients. And so we are certainly focused in leveraging our data as much as we can through internal systems, external systems, through people, through process. I mean, data is such a key component. So research services, KM, events, all of the other things that report into innovation. We have the PMO reports into innovation, not only knowledge management and research services, we have events, facilities, real estate. All of those things really help us because innovation is not just, a technology. It is really how we harness the power of the firm to assist both our lawyers and our clients. And that comes from many different directions. So the data is the focal point in how we can help our clients and our lawyers.
Tony, Maureen mentioned the PMO, the Program Management Office. And I think that's a function that a lot of people would hear and go, okay, what's that? Because it's easy to go down an acronym rabbit hole. So explain to us a little bit what the PMO does and how that impacts the way that your firm is able to serve the client.
Sure. Yeah, in my role in the Program Management Office, we're in a good position to be like the eyes and ears for best practices across the firm. We manage our projects centrally, so the PMO can ensure that new concepts and best practices are shared across all the project teams. If one team develops the best way or approach to do something, we communicate that process across all the project teams and stakeholders. We think our clients feel that impact the PMO provides.
So is there maybe an example where the three of you can sort of talk about something that you've done that you view as innovative that's had a noticeable positive impact on the firm's clients?
Yeah, I'll start with this one. At Goodwin, we offer our clients a complete access to our operations team. We call ourselves the Go team. Many of us come from the corporate side, and we're able to bridge that experience back to our clients. Having the business of law partner with the practice of law may not sound innovative, but here at Goodwin, this approach runs really deep with us. The business team partners directly with our operational peers at our clients. We may work with them on, putting in and testing new technology, consult on business process improvements. So it's that kind of partnership of the business of law and practice of law that, seems to make a positive impact on our clients.
Further to that, Tony, that's a good example. I have a real life example out of our German market. So we have an opportunity. We had a situation where a KM team member partnered with a partner and developed a new process for the German banking market. So basically, I'm not going to go into all the details, but they simplified the process for preparing syndicated loans. So how that worked was the KM team member partnered with the partner who had the expertise. And what they actually did is they created a new legal form. And so they created a new legal form. And so previously, using the old process, the process for doing those types of loan took 9 hours. So using the new legal form, it took 4.5 hours. So we saved 50% time. Then the next step we did is we automated that form. Once we automated that form, and that's another part of the KM department, our legal technologists worked on that aspect of the form. We then were able to take that 4.5 hours down to 2 hours. So that is a 75% time savings with a innovative application and kind of putting our heads together on the lawyer side and the Go team side.
And I think that's a fascinating example where you're sort of bringing that multidisciplinary approach and really being willing to make the investment of time. I know, just thinking back to my own time in practice, the hardest thing to do was to make an investment of time in innovation, because you think about your life in point ones, right? Everything has to be, your primary concern is that billable time. So anything that's going to detract potentially from billable time, even though the end result is going to be the right thing to do, it's hard to justify. Why do I really want to spend maybe 20 hours coming up with a process like you described when, I could be doing other work. And in reality, what I'm doing is creating much better client service, much better outcomes for the client, and ultimately saving a ton of time down the road. It's a little bit of investment now for a lot of return later. I think it's a great example. And even though we didn't get into the intricacies of German banking.
Yeah.
I think that is really a strong point at Goodwin, because I think that, agreed, we want our lawyers to focus on the practice of law as much as possible. And that's why we built such a strong Go team, as you referenced, so that we can have the idea and take as little bit of their time as possible and have the Go team do a lot of the heavy lifting. As Tony said, a lot of us have come from the corporate side. We also on the KM team, and we have a lot of also lawyers and other people that can help carry a lot of that load, so that we can get the idea, bounce the ideas off of our lawyers. But we have a very strong Go team that can really carry the water on a lot of those projects, and also give our lawyers credit where they do participate to make sure that they get the credit for participating in these projects as well. But the Go team is highly skilled, so that we can really take the ideas, take the initiative, and do a lot of the work to save the lawyers a lot of time and make sure that they're focusing on the clients, which is where they're best able to serve.
Right, absolutely. So that's a great example of something that is innovative. The next question I want to ask you is a little bit more amorphous. What is innovation? And maybe more importantly, what isn't innovation or innovative?
So I'm happy to start with that. I think what innovation is, certainly at Goodwin, is not just technology. And while technology is a significant part of innovation, I think that people just wrongly equate innovation with technology. And the way we look at innovation really is testing and challenging the status quo at Goodwin. So it could be from people, process, technology, really working back to identifying either a gap or an opportunity, defining what the problem or the opportunity is, and really working backwards from that to ensure that whatever we need to fill the gap or to give promise to that opportunity is provided. And innovation can be, as I always say, it could be victory in inches or victory in yards. It doesn't always have to be this big implementation of a system or a big process improvement, although those certainly do happen. But it's really looking every day at a process and thinking, how can we improve this? How can this be better? How can it be more efficient? And really, it's a matter of if you're not really growing and evolving in all of your process, your people, and your technology, you're falling behind. So we like to have a culture of innovation at Goodwin and really ensure that we look across every process, we look across every technology and all of our people and resources, and make sure that they're moving forward, challenging the status quo, and really looking for opportunities for us to improve.
Maureen, those are really good points. I think that when we also say a lot at Goodwin, innovation is can be a whisper and not a scream. And so all these small incremental changes that we make throughout an organization with people, process, technology really makes a profound difference when you add it all up.
Yeah, for sure. I think innovation, what it is also a way to help implement change. Change management at a law firm is really difficult and disruptive sometimes. But if the change is positioned as innovative and exciting and genuinely feels born from our culture, then making a change and adopting that change, there's more success available when that happens.
Certainly, I think it's an evolutionary process. Again, you don't, especially at a law firm, you typically don't always want to go in with a big bang. You really want to build slowly, proof of concept it out, and really, have quick wins, focus on the groups where it's really going to make a material difference, and then spread it as far as it needs to go. It doesn't have to be across as Anne can certainly say, not every technology, not every solution really needs to hit every practice area. And it's not going to be as beneficial for some groups or some offices as others. So it's really knowing your environment, knowing where there's going to be a benefit in that investment, and going to those individuals and really working hand in hand with them so they see the benefit of it and they give you their input. And then again, the Go team can really help the lawyers achieve the goals that they need to achieve.
Maureen, I think that's a really fascinating point, because one thing that I think some law firms or some people watching this video may sort of get lost in is they look at a firm with the resources and the scale of Goodwin and they say, well, I can't possibly do that. But the things that you just described, the quick wins, the finding, sort of whisper, not a scream, looking for those small improvements, those are things that really are approachable by any firm. It doesn't have to be that you've got massive operations back office and huge teams built. There are things that can be done from an innovation standpoint by firms of any size. Even solo lawyers can do some of this stuff.
Absolutely. I think it's really, again, challenging the status quo, looking at every process that you do and just thinking of ways to tweak or improvement. And really the model works at a firm like Goodwin or even one of our large institutional clients. It's really breaking things down into its component pieces. And like I said before, it's also working from the end result. Like, what are you trying to achieve? Have you identified a gap, or have you identified an opportunity where improvement can help? And then working back from that and kind of cutting out what's not necessary, because sometimes a project or people think innovation is so big and it starts to grow all these tentacles, and all of a sudden it becomes something that's going to take 15 years to do. We have to go back and look at every document we've ever touched, or we have to go back to every file we've ever done. And it's really not. It's focusing in and putting a start and a stop to something, looking at it, doing kind of a best practice on it, what worked and what didn't, and then slowly move it back out again. And again, to Ann's point, whisper, not a scream, or victory in inches, not yards, and everyone can do that. And it just applies on a different scale based on where you are, but we all start from the same component part. Look at it, evaluate a technology, evaluate a strategy, a process, or what a person's doing, and see, is that the most effective use of their time? And is what they're doing matters? And if it matters, are they doing it in the most efficient way? And then just move from there.
Yeah, I think that's outstanding advice. Are there certain things that you would consider to sort of be table stakes innovative steps that every law firm should be considering? Things that are maybe becoming less innovative and more a client expectation, but nevertheless firms are reluctant to undertake them.
So I can address that. So, we talked a little bit about inserting technology into the legal practice. And I know this isn't completely to your point, Bill, but, we're talked about a lot about e-signatures, and where would we be a year into this pandemic if e-signatures weren't, available and people weren't using them at Goodwin. And, 2 or 3 years ago, when we started to think about e-signatures in our European and UK markets, those were kind of a pretty simple adopted technology that we use over here in the US that they were reluctant to use over, in Europe and UK because of, laws are different and processes are different. But, with a little nudge, we got them to look into it, and we built some process around that. And had we not taken those steps when we entered, a year ago when we started this journey, we wouldn't have been able to really effectively serve our clients without that piece of technology. It's not a big bang technology. It's simple, but it's vital to our practice at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think Zoom collaboration tools, again, also, Bill, some things that at 2 or 1 year ago would seem like advanced technology or something that really is innovative, I think are now basics. They're just basics. Looking at automation and document digitization, again, with remote working, with the hybrid model as we go back to quote unquote, whatever normal is, those things are here to stay. And the pandemic just expedited that, certainly in the legal profession. And those aren't really, this high level, high stakes legal innovation anymore. It's really basic fundamentals in order to conduct your business. Looking at paper even when we look at the library or looking at how much people print and how less they're printing now that they're home. You can evaluate even the most basic fundamental things, and all of a sudden it's opened up to have a more creative and a more effective way of doing it.
Yeah, everything down to even the way our attorneys review their bills. Before the pandemic, they were very comfortable looking at their paper, marking up the paper, giving it to their secretary, making the changes on the system. making a simple change like having that be a online bill review process, that didn't cost a lot of money, but was a simple pivot for us to do, and got us a lot of positive change, and everyone felt like it was new and fancy, but it was a simple change technically, and it worked really well. So it's practical, simple things, I think, Bill, that can help any law firm of any size, approach innovation with ease.
And certainly that was a benefit. It benefited not only our lawyers and Goodwin, but it benefits our clients, because the quicker they get the bill, the closer it is to when that work was done. They're able to review it, have a real-time conversation with the attorneys if they have any questions, and it's just fresh in everyone's mind, and they have more transparency. They can move on with their financials. We move on with our financials, and it's just a win-win, and it's something so simple, but it has such an impact on client relationship, client service, as well as the internal working of a law firm. So it's, again, to Tony's point, it's simple, but yet it is so effective, and the downstream impacts to both the client and the law firm really are immeasurable.
Yeah, and that makes, Maureen, that makes so much sense when you talk about being able to get those bills out. I'm a huge fan of sort of the quote unquote rules of profitability when you talk about, the rules being rates, utilization, leverage, expenses, and speed of billing. And I've always sort of thought of speed of billing, which is what you're talking about there with getting those bills out. I've always harkened back to something that I was told by one of the judges I clerked for at the Minnesota Court of Appeals. He said that he's never seen a case won an oral argument, but he's seen them lost there. To me, that's sort of my relationship with speed of billing. Is being good at getting your bills out fast isn't sufficient to make you profitable, but it's necessary, and it is sufficient. It can kill your profitability. If you're not good at it, it can definitely hurt you. So I definitely, that definitely rings a bell. All of these are great practical examples. And I have to say, the example of e-signatures, I feel that one in my soul. We refinanced our mortgage last fall, and the few times that I had to, print something and scan it and email it back or snail mail it back, like 2 years ago, e-signature, I would have thought, boy, this is kind of weird. And suddenly, just that quick, it was, no, the expectation is I should be able to e-sign this. So when you say that, it just seems so automatic.
Right.
It's huge. And not only does it help us then, it also helps environmentally. I mean, think of how much paper and time you save when you're not printing out these huge documents that, someone is signing the last page for, but they need to review it. Again, it's all done, electronically. And so it's not only, again, an efficiency, but it also helps us with our corporate social responsibility as well. It's just, again, all of these small changes have such a downstream impact. None of them are as simple to kind of impact, but what they can do for an organization it's unlimited what small changes can do.
Yeah, well, these have been just phenomenal examples, and I really appreciate how approachable some of this is. I mean, there are definitely things here that have a massive impact, but can be very incremental steps. It's sort of the old joke, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? There's a lot in here that sort of takes that approach, right, where you can make a really big change, but do it a little bit at a time. So thank you to all of you for what you shared here, for making it so approachable and so relatable, and for really bringing forward that concept of a culture of innovation, constantly thinking about it and looking for that better way.
Great.
Thanks, Mel.
Thanks, everyone.